the setup that I'm teaching today is a 2-camera setup, but you can like the things that are going to be talking about here that can be applied to many more, and like we're going to go over all of this. And yeah, so don't be afraid if you don't have a lot of equipment. Like this is a room for you to learn and grow. And like I just graduated, and right now I only have my 1 camera, 1 lens, and 1 microphone. And you know, you work what you have and you save money for what you don't. It's fine.
So for everyone that's just got on the call, we're going to wait until about 3:05 to let everyone that wants to get on, and then we'll get started. And while we wait, feel free to send any questions you already have in the chat for Zayrha, if you want to get to know her or tell us where you're tuning in from.
And it's the second part of the question is considered that the interview is going to be focused only on the interview only. You can do it with 1 camera. Just make sure, we'll talk about this, but like your composition is good and you're focusing on them. The good thing about having 2 cameras is that you can like cut and have more variety, but you can do it with 1 camera. It's not the end of the world. You get this. Where can I get to it? Yes, if you have a lav mic, yeah. So I'll be talking about shotgun mics and lav mics. If you have a lav mic, then go ahead and use it. Shotgun mics in this interview setup works more as a backup because maybe something goes wrong and you still want to have the audio of the interview. You're asking a lot of questions. Thank you. I'm now feel like random or awkward here.
Hey, Zayrha.
Hey, Hadley. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for teaching us.
Oh, 2 minutes.
Also, while we're waiting, a little plug. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and Twitter. We'll be posting updates for other sessions that we do, as well as posting work of students as well. So please give us a follow. And we got another question for you, Zayrha.
You can, for the last question I just got in the chat, it says, if we shoot with an iPhone, how to record with good quality of audio. So first, make sure like the place is not echoey. Second, maybe if you can get like a mic that you can connect to the iPhone, it could be great. But if you don't have like an extra microphone, just make sure it's close and like you don't have like a lot of background noise. Like it's not like a busy street, it's probably like a closed room or something like that. That could help you, even if you just have an iPhone. And like that goes for like all quality of all situations. Like for interviews, you want to be in a place that is not echoey and is close. And we're gonna talk all about this, even if you're like, what is happening? I don't understand what's going on right now. But yeah. No problem. Thank you for asking. Molly, do you want to start?
Yes, we can go ahead and get started. So we Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our first online workshop series. We are the student chapter of the National Press Photographers Association at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I'm Emily. I'm our chapter president. Sorry for just being a voice. My laptop camera is sadly broken. But the session right now is being recorded in order for it to be a resource in the future. So once we have it uploaded, we'll share it with everyone. Right now, everyone's muted. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to use the chat. I'm here if anyone needs help, but I'll pass the session over to Zayrha to lead.
So hi, everyone. So I know we've been talking a little bit, but so this is setting up an interview, and oh my God, how to take, there you go. Just a little bit about me. I'm a recent graduate from UNC Chapel Hill. I participated in the 2019 International Projects class, which we went to Colombia, where I'm actually from. So it was really nice going back home. And CPW, which is like a 1 week during the summer, and we go to a town in North Carolina and tell like about 15 different stories. Everybody is in charge of their own short documentary. Random fact, I love fries and just potatoes in general. They make me happy. And that's my social media handle. If you want to follow me after this, you don't have to, if you don't want to. I'm not that active, but I will answer if you have questions later on. So kind of like an outline what we're going to be talking about, things you want to do before the interview, equipment for a 2-camera interview, setting up different, during the interview and after the interview. I just want to make a cool like remark saying like, especially for the equipment part, I might be talking about all this crazy equipment that you might not have access to it right now, don't feel discouraged. That I feel like there's still a lot of things that you can learn here, and you might be able to use in like an iPhone interview, or just like I showed before, my camera and just my lens. So there's also there's like places online where you can like reserve equipment and have it for you and then return it. So there's different resources, but just don't feel discouraged if you don't have any of this equipment with you at the moment. And we go. So why are you gonna do an interview? Why interviews are important in the first place? The way we're taught in our school and work is like we do non-narrative interviews, videos, projects, and that means that we're not, oh my God, my friend was just calling me, I'm sorry. And we're back, sorry about that. And which means a non-narrative is like we're not telling the story. They are story partners or subjects, we refer to them as story partners, tell their story with their own words. It kind of sounds abstract right now, so I want to show you like a quick video from a friend that she did 2 years ago in CPW. So make sure, let me know if you can see the video, like in the Vimeo, if it works. Okay, so yeah, let's put a full screen so you all can see, and it's a 2-minute short video, but I think it's really cute and nice.
I love to solve puzzles. I love mystery stories. And who you were and who you came from is a huge mystery. Right here is where you type the address. I was born this way. I come from a family of talkers and storytellers. I come from a family where people talked about what happened 100 years ago as if it happened last night. I am just full of curiosity. You can hear all kinds of wonderful stories, but everybody has a piece of history that's fun and interesting to hear. My biggest problem is shutting up long enough to hear it. 1921, 1944, 1800, 1922. D. Eliot was the mayor of Hickory. It was built by Adolphus Shuford and Daniel Boone's parents are buried, I believe, in Iredell County. We're going to visit Uncle Bill and Aunt Jenny. This is Dr. Richard Beverly Baker. I think Buddy and Peggy are shooting the chickens in the legs with their BB guns. He was noted for not only his skills as a surgeon and a physician, but he was also noted for his salty language and profanity. You're an amazing lady. No, I just do weird things. That's okay. Do you know how hard it is to shoot a chicken in the leg? Well, I'll tell you what, it's really hard. She would really be bothered if I told a lot of people. And I've told everybody I know. Oh, that's just not in front of her. It's a wonderful thing to just help people find the answers to questions that don't seem significant to other people. It's important at every stage in life to feel needed. Every time I help somebody and I help them find something, I feel needed. When I have to answer a question for somebody at the library, I feel needed. You've got to feel needed. When people quit feeling needed, they die. I would like my legacy to be that I made a difference in the lives of the people that I knew.
So that was a really sweet and short video. You can hear the passion of Peggy through that video. Like, she talks about what she does and why she thinks it's important. So that's why I believe like interviews are important. You get to know them, know the story, and like if you're interested of watching more videos, there's a Vimeo channel, I think it's called UC Narratives, where we have lots of video from current students and graduate students. If you want to like watch more, feel inspired, and kind of ask yourself, oh, how they got that shot, or like how was the camera set up for that interview, I think you can learn in that way. Also, I just want to say, if you have any questions throughout this, just feel free to type them, and we'll get to them. So the things that you want to do before the interview happens. You want to have a pre-interview, and I think there's a question. Emily, you want to make sure tell the questions?
That was just Hannah sharing the link to the UNC Photojournalism Vimeo page.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank
Hannah.
you. So what is a pre-interview? Pre-interview is when you get to know your study partner. This could be in like a coffee shop, in their place of work, but it's just you getting to know them and probably asking those similar questions that you're gonna ask in the interview. But I think it helps not only to you get to know them, but also build a trust. They're gonna be telling your story with you, and we need to do a good job of honoring their story. Like, all the work that we do is to make sure that person is honored through our video. You also want to start thinking about the location where you're gonna record this interview. You want to think of two variables, like it's personal and a place that you're able to control. Able to control, I mean like you can move chairs, or like you can bring equipment to the place. That you don't have that much background noise, like it's not like in the middle of a street or something like that. And personal, because it kind of can help bring memories of the place, and they just feel more comfortable. Like if you're in your room and a person's talking like, hey, you have a cool window, like the pictures here, I can tell you like maybe a story about them or something about that, and it kind of helps for the interview. Also, reserve the equipment and make sure you know how it works. The word reserve, but in a school, how it works, we have an equipment room and we need to make the reservation ahead of time. But also that reserve could also mean, hey, asking your friend, hey, can I borrow this for like this and this day, or something like that. We do that a lot in our program. And have it the night before, make sure you know how it works, make sure you know how to turn it off, and just kind of like maybe ask questions to your friends if you have never touched that similar equipment. And start brainstorming questions. You want to ask open-ended questions, and just make sure you have with you like a list or topics that you for sure you want to hit during the interview. Sometimes you might you get a little bit nervous, or you kind of forget the questions that you're going to ask, so just have something that you can refer back during the interview. Some places on campus, UNC campus, that you want to record, you can record Freedom Forum in third hall, in Carroll Hall on the third floor. Carroll Hall is where the Jones School is, and you need to reserve that ahead of time. Also, that hall during the weekends has beautiful natural light, and during the weekends it's nice because not that many people come, so you don't hear like the background in the hallways or anything like that. So this is kind of like a list of the equipment that you might need. This what I'm teaching is a 2-camera setup, but you can also always scale down. You can always scale everything down. Like I showed before, right now I only have my camera, a lens, and a shotgun mic, but that's fine. So the 2 cameras that you want to have, preferably if you can, you want to make sure they're the same brand. If they're not, it's not a big deal. Like you might need to do a lot of post-production work to make sure the colors are the same, but it's not the end of the world. You want to have 2 lenses, one wide lens so you can show more of like the background or something like that, and a telephoto lens so it's like tighter in the and in your person's study partner's face. So like a telephoto lens, you might want to show like from my shoulders up, and a wide could be like something similar to what you watch. It could be a little bit wider but scale back. And audio, so audio is very important during interviews, of course, and here you have like a lot of pictures of like the audio that you might need. So the lav mic, which we were talking about before, if you guys were here early, transmitters and recorder, they kind of work together. They all connect, and you're basically recording your audio in the recorder. And the shotgun mics, they come all different sizes. I don't know if colors, but different sizes. Like that one, I know you need a battery, but like the one I own doesn't need a battery, but it's using the camera battery. So it's like you might want to think about when you're purchasing or thinking of reserving the equipment. You want tripods for your cameras, extra batteries, camera batteries, and batteries for AA batteries for your audio. The shotgun, the recorder, and the lav mic doesn't, but the shotgun, transmitters, and recorder, they all use AA batteries, so you need them. And you never had extra batteries. If you don't use them today, you're gonna use them the next day or something like that. SD cards, just one for audio that goes to the recorder, and doesn't need to be bigger than 16 gigabytes. That's fine. Make sure you use that for audio only. If you change it from the camera to the recorder, you might face some problems with the coding, and you might not be able, your audio won't be saving. So just buy one, save it for audio, and keep it for audio for always. And your video SD cards. And your lights, for that interview, you might wanna use natural light, but also you can use artificial light with like fancy, and also light ones can be really nice. They can help you fill out like background. You wanna leave the background or just the face of your study partners. You can just kind of darken one side. You can use a light one to like fill out those gaps. Like let's say in this case, if I'm talking about the pictures in the background, I might want to leave the pictures in the background and have like a light off the side that you cannot see it. And earbuds help you to check the sound, like make sure the sound is working and everything. So again, if you have any questions, what we have talked about before, feel free to type them. This comes like the heavy part of the workshop, and it's like the interview day. So make sure the interview, like you say, it starts the night before when you're charging your batteries. Make sure you have all the equipment, make sure everything works, and make sure you pack all your equipment. It has happened to me that I get to a place and I'm missing the battery or just I'm missing a lens, so then I have to call a friend and like figure out, hey, I don't think can you get me to this, and like it's not fun. But so make sure you pack everything. You need to create a list or something that helps you, whatever makes you remember. Also batteries. I've mentioned batteries a lot because batteries are important and you can never have extra. Be there early. Setting up takes a hot second. It could take from 20, 30 minutes to even more time. You might want to practice if it's your first time doing it by yourself, you want to practice with a friend the night before, or just make sure you know how everything works. So let's say if you want to do an interview at 2 p.m. and you told your study partner, hey, show up there at 2 p.m., you might want to show up like 20 to 30 minutes before, because there's steps that you need your study partner there for you. And also, if you can, get your friend to tag along with you. If it's just by yourself, or you're working in a bigger group, tell someone in your group to, hey, can you help me come set up the interview? You can bounce off ideas, and like maybe you get panicked for a second and figure out how a thing works, and that's fine. That has happened to me. So you can ask questions, even though it's like, there's no dumb questions, just sometimes you're nervous and you forget things. So hear me out, this looks random, it looks weird, and it's not because I'm hungry, but it works in my head, and a teacher told me like this, and it works in my head. So when you're setting up an interview, you want to think about a sandwich. The bread and the light are gonna be, the camera and the light are gonna be your bread, and like your protein or like whatever you put in your sandwich is gonna be your study partner and you. Doesn't make sense that much, but like the way I think about it, the substance of your interview, the substance of your sandwich, I know you can laugh, it makes sense in my head, but like let's keep talking about the first bread, which is going to be your light. So here you have two examples. Here they're using, to the right you can see they're using just like natural light, they're kind of really close to a window, and to the left you see they're more extensive and lights and more fancy. Both are fine. You can use whatever is in your environment and you have access to. If you know how to use lights, and you then go ahead and use lights. The advantage of using lights is like you can control them and you have more freedom of places you might want to shoot at. With natural light, the weather changes all the time. Right now I'm in Miami. It could rain in the next 20 minutes and it could be sunny after 20 minutes after rain. So we cannot control the weather, but we can control the lights. But you can also rely on natural light if you know it's going to be sunny that day. The next, you're gonna think about your cameras, your second bread, and how you want to set and what type of composition you want to have. And that like kind of the composition plays on where you position your cameras. So we can have central composition or traditional rule of thirds to the side. Central composition, you might want to use it because you think the background is cool and or it adds to the story. There's a video from Bugs that you can find on YouTube, and it's from a series called The Missing Chapter, and it's a really cool video series. And to the right, you have traditional offside, and it was about, and this is from, you can see the name here, Hamilton Building America, that a documentary I saw 2 days ago. So those two of them are fine. If you do have a central composition, your camera, your wide camera or whatever, if you have one or two, it's gonna be right in front of them, in front of your story partner, but they're gonna be looking at you the entire time. And we're gonna get more to that in next time. But if you do choose to have a central composition, you can use your second camera as like root of theirs off the side. You can have both, and that just gives you more variety. So when you're setting up the camera, you want to make sure there's like at the eye level of your study partner, and maybe this is a good time to white balance. And you want to white balance with the same light that you're going to be using in an interview. So if you're using natural light, you can white balance with the natural light. If you're going to be using artificial light, just make sure you turn on all the lights that you have and white balance with that. And when you're framing your study partner, you want to make sure you have more nose room. Nose room is from like the place of the head to here, like they're looking off, kind of like if I was in an interview right now, you want to make sure like the camera's right in front of me right now, and I have a lot of nose room and I'll be looking forwards, and you'll be in that way. If I was on this side, it kind of goes like that. So like the camera is right here, but like I'm off the side, and the cameras, you can move them. So like you just play around, make sure you move them up and down and make sure they're good. Do we have a question, or is it just the same link from Hannah? Oh no, anyway, we're good, okay. So yeah, and headroom is the room from like the back here to the other side of the frame. So you wanna have that much headroom in a way. Also framing, chairs that you use are very important. Like you don't want to be like a chair that is squeaky or like right now I'm using a swivel chair, you can see, and like I can move a lot. But you don't want to do that during the interview. You want to be like just a chair that your study partner first is comfortable. You don't want them to be uncomfortable, but also they cannot like be like they cannot move that much, because that might change your framing or just create extra sounds that you don't want in your interview. Also, they should be looking at you. We kind of mentioned it out a little bit, but let me just go back a few slides for the sandwich. And you can see how like here's your story partner, but here's you. They're gonna be looking at you during the entire time. That's why when you see you're like, oh, the camera's here, but they're looking off, you don't want them to be talking to the camera. You just want them to be looking off the side, and you're gonna be that way. And you should be at the same eye level as them. So kind of if you get two similar chairs, that's fine. Just be at the same eye level as them, and just make sure the camera's at the same eye level, because if you're shooting down or up, it just looks awkward and it's not nice to their face or anything. So audio. So here's the time on Monday, we're gonna have a third workshop from this workshop series. It's gonna be all about audio from our Hadley Green, which is actually here during these workshops. So, but I'm gonna mention a little bit right now, and the audio is really important. We talked about lav mics before, but you wanna avoid any background noises. Like background noise could be like they see going off for like a busy street, or like I actually live close to an airbase, so if like a plane passes right now, you can hear the plane going off. So you wanna, let's say you know the schedule, like the planes happen from 9 to 10 every day, then you wanna have the interview at 10 or like 11, so you have more wiggle room. If you can disconnect, like maybe it's a buzzing computer in the background, you can tell your starting partner, hey, do you mind if we disconnect this? Always be really polite, because especially if you're going through the spaces, they open their doors for you to be there, and they're telling you their story. So always be polite and honor that. So in this time, you also want to start connecting your shotgun mics to the camera. This is the one I have. Let me just show you. This little thing is a mic actually, and this just covers for wind and any other things. And many have like an on and off switch, so just make sure it's on. Oh, we have a question, a question. Yeah, let me check. So, okay, so we're gonna get to the transmitters right now, actually. And then, so for the lav mic and transmitters and all that stuff. So the way it works is you record, the recorder goes to the transmitter, and the transmitter to the lav mic. So they just kind of like allow you, normally like the lav mic needs to connect to something that's gonna record. You could connect it to the recorder, or you could also connect it to a transmitter, and that way you can keep one transmitter connects to the recorder, you can keep that, and another transmitter connects to the other lav mic. That's kind of like the basic explanation that I can give you right now. And on Monday, we're gonna talk more about that. Also, when you're doing the interview, you wanna make sure this hitting the levels between like -12, -7, and all this stuff. Do we have another question? I'm not sure. Can I get that?
They were saying thank you for the answer.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'll just add that by connecting the lav mic to the transmitter and then transmitter to the recorder, it allows you to plug headphones into the recorder and monitor the audio through the recorder.
That's where the earbuds or headphones just come very important, because you might think you might hear something, but then you connect the earbuds to the recorder, and you might get like this weird buzzing, and you're like, where is that coming from? And like that is gonna interfere in your interview. So like that, it's always good to check that before that. Like check the audio before the interview starts. You might get like crazy a weird audio, something like that. So you're like, okay, I've been doing all of this, but like, where's my study partner? Where are they at this moment? So it could happen that you finish setting all this up by yourself, and you're just waiting for your study partner to come around, or you're setting up with them in the same room. I realized that it's very important to explain them what you're doing. You think it sounds basic and it's not important, but like being in front of the camera is not fun. Like it can be not fun, but like it can be a little bit intimidating. Many people haven't been trained to be in front of the camera. We as photographers and videographers are trained to be behind the camera. So just telling them, hey, I'm just setting up the audio here. This is important to help you here. Like just kind of explain them as the best of your abilities to so they can understand what is happening. Also, you want to laugh them. So as we talked in the previous slide, this connects to the laugh mic, but you can the laugh mic from the transmitter and tell them, hey, do you mind if you pull down this your shirt? And they will do it. And you can, if they don't know how to fix it, you can tell them, hey, do you mind if I get close and I just fix it for yourself? So we in our program we try not to show mics, the laugh mic, so it can go like here in the collar of the, for example, my sweater that I'm wearing right now, or you can or in broadcast they show the mics. Sometimes you cannot hide the mic, and that's fine, but try to do your best. Make sure you have the right settings on your camera, like your is well lit and your ISO is perfect, the frame rate and all this stuff. And also you want to focus on their eyes. We humans, our brain are trained to go to the eyes, look for the eyes in each frame. So I know Canon to the left side, like the Mark II or 3 and 4, in the left side you have a magnifying glass. If you press that 2 times, you can zoom in and move it and make sure the eyes are focused. The next thing we have is a question: what do you have for breakfast? I know I'm talking a lot about food. I love food, but that's the other reason. It's a simple question that you can ask, and that time you can check the audio levels. So maybe they're talking too soft, or maybe there's something with the recorder that you can change. You can change the audio levels, or just another time for you to check the audio levels. Also, right, they're set up, they're sitting down in their chair, the audio work. You wanna explain like kind of few things, hand gestures. During the interview, you wanna be as quiet as possible. You don't wanna be like interrupting them or saying hums and something that I still do. And like, it's kind of hard because I like talking. So like, you need to hold yourself back. So you might want to tell them, hey, during the interview, I'm going to be like really quiet, but I'll be using my head and my hands. You might want to create your hands gestures saying like, hey, I raise my hand, it's because I want to like interrupt, or if I do this, it's just, you can wrap it up or something like that. You learn more of this as more interviews you do. You become better interviewers as more interviews you do. I don't know if that makes sense, but it helps. Also, explain the camera. So around the 30-minute mark, Canos kind of shut off. So you might want to tell them, hey, around the 30-minute mark, I'm gonna go to the cameras to stop and restart. So when it happens, they're not confused on like, why is that person like they're getting up and setting up. It just kind of helps. Also, something that you might want to say to them at this moment is like, just make sure you're answering complete sentences, and that's kind of about it. So now it's like go time. You want to turn on your cameras, make sure your cameras are on, make sure the audio is on, make sure everything, press record. And the recorder that I showed before, you need to press start twice and make sure this red light is like solid, and that's when it's recording. And you can clap, and then it's go time, and then you can clap to sync. I've done it, and I have done it, and sometimes I've done it, sometimes I haven't done it, but it works. It's not the end of the world if you forget about it. It would help you later when you're editing and like you know when the interview starts and where you need to go. So during the interview, like I said, if you're by yourself, keep an eye on your cameras. If you have someone else, you can tell them, hey, just keep an eye on the cameras for me, please. Or they might be checking the audio for you. The person that you interview, they should be looking at you all the time. It's kind of like off the side. You want to be asking open-ended questions. So kind of tell me how you felt about this, or how do you react when this happened, or explain me how this happened. I don't know who you're gonna be interviewed, but that's gonna helps the person you're interviewing answering complete sentences. Also, for more simple questions, you might want to double stack the questions. So you might want to ask, what is your parents' first parents' names, and when did how old they were when you were born. So you can say, my father's name's Nestor and my mom's name is Viviana, and they were 21 and 22 when they had me. This is kind of, I don't know if you're gonna be asking that in your interview, but kind of how it helps. As follow-up questions, you want to be listening to them, and like maybe they mentioned something that you hadn't heard before from the pre-interview or your previous conversation, so you want to ask more about that, and like don't be afraid of like kind of going off the questions that you have planned for that. Don't be afraid of quiet moments. I know we want to like fill up like silent spaces with as much information possible, like waiting for the 5 minutes. For me, it was awkward, and that's why I ask for us questions. But sometimes when we interviewing someone in a quiet moment, they will feel it, and might be really important information that otherwise you wouldn't know without asking. You can tell, don't be afraid to re-say their answer, in case it wasn't a complete sentence, or you might did not understand something. Just, this is I like to think interviews are conversations, but like a one-side conversation, because you won't be doing that much talking, but it kind of, just be ready. And once you're closing down, and like you make sure you hit all the points that you wanted to hit, close with, is there anything else you'd like to add, or is anything else you want to talk about we haven't talked about? Sometimes you get the best quotes in that. It could be, but sometimes they're tired of talking to you, and they're like, no, and that's fine. But and it's okay. So another thing you want to get during your interview is a video portrait and a room tone. These two terms that when I first heard them, I was like, what are they? So a video portrait is just like a portrait, or we all take selfies, so that's a portrait. And if you're into photography, you probably have taken a portrait of your friends or your family. And a video portrait is just the same. Video portrait could be as simple as them looking at the camera directly, just for a few seconds, or you can tell them to look at the camera and then look off to the window, or tell them to like kind of like record them when they're like getting out the frame, walking to the seat, and then sitting down. Video portrait could be used during editing, or when you're editing, and it's simple and always good to have, doesn't hurt, and you have the complete creative freedom for that. You can stage them whatever, which way you like them. There's not like limits. You can get a video portrait of the hands, or a cool t-shirt they have. It doesn't hurt. And room tone is like, if you're quiet, that's the room tone. Like my AC was going up a few seconds ago, but it stopped, so you can hear like the mumbling, and like it helps when you're editing audio in the post-production side. And you might want to get the room tone and the video portrait at the same time if the video portrait is quiet. And that's it, you're done. So you finish your interview. First, thank them. They just share not entire, but like a big part of their life with you. So have a casual conversation, and also be open to share your story. They talked about themselves for a few minutes or an hour, and they might have questions about you. They feel maybe vulnerable and they want to get to know you better, something along those lines. Just be courteous with your study partner and creating that trust. And you want to make sure you pack everything. You don't want to leave anything. That's what happened to me, but I feel like it's gonna happen eventually. So just make sure you pack everything. Either have a checklist on your phone or your notebook or anything. Just make sure everything is in your bag. And that's it. I've talked a lot, but if you have any questions, we have like 20 minutes, 10 minutes. So yeah, that's Okay, oh wait, does the recorder have a limit for how many mics transmitter can? So for the recorders, I know you can have like multiple, but I've never done that personally. I know you can have like up to 3 connected, but I don't know how the sound gets recorded or anything. I'm not like really expert, but I know you can have multiple. And normally the transmitters, they work in like wavelengths. So you, let me go back on the presentation. Okay, here, sorry. So here, the way they work in wavelengths. So you wanna make sure they have the same number. And so like for the transmitter, it's only one. You can, I know for sure you can only have one. Transmitters connect at the same time. So yeah, for the recorder, I know you can have like one here, and I think the recorder itself records audio. So like if you just have the recorder, you can use it as just a microphone itself. I mean, yeah, sometimes so Joseph says here, sometimes I like them to sign a release form too. I think, yeah, for me, what I've done is like during the pre-interview, I've told them like, hey, this is gonna be published here and here and here. Like, are you okay with that? Or like whenever I'm like researching for a story, I'm like, hey, this is gonna be published, and just so they know. Also, I think from different people I've heard, like, especially more for photo, but like again, it's like, are you comfortable if your like neighbor sees this or like hears this? Especially this comes more when talking about difficult or like more sensitive subjects than from the video that we first saw. The first video was really sweet, and you can get like the passion of this lady for what she does. But you know, that's a good idea. Have a release form too.
Release forms are also a little more common when you are doing videos in more of like the marketing realm, like release forms for you to profit off of using their story. And it's helpful like on like the business side of doing freelance video work. So I wouldn't discourage you from doing it, but it's not always necessary, but it is good business practice.
Yeah, it's good, just in case something happens in the future, like, hey, I'm like, no, but you have it here, you know. It's gonna, that hasn't happened to me so far, but you know. Audio equipment a little bit more. So on Monday 10 a.m. we have our audio workshop series, which is gonna be just about audio. But do I need every audio in every interview? I will like if you have a lav mic. Sometimes, even lav mic could be connected to your phone, and sometimes I've record audio in my phones and I use it in video and has work. But I was really close to it, and just, you know, it was not an echoey environment. So you can also scale down everything here. Shotgun mics are important because the audio from cameras, normally they're not good, and you can hear the camera motor, and that's why shotgun mics are important. They help you get the environment noise and everything. And so yeah, if you kind of try to, if you already have a camera and a lens, I recommend you try to buy that shotgun mic. This was like $50 at Best Buy. It's not expensive, but it's also not the best shotgun mic out there, but it has never I never had a problem with it. So, you know, so far so good. But they're good when you're recording B-roll and other type of audio. And I hope that answered your question, Sema. What are things to figure out? Another questions here I have, what are some things to consider when figuring out the best person to interview for your subject? So think why you want to interview this person. Like, are they expert in their field? Maybe the story is very compelling. What grabs you to this person? I think that's like the things that maybe the things that you want to consider before even reaching out. Like, sometimes you think your story is going to be around this one person, but maybe they're like, you talk to them during the pre-interview and you're like, hey, I'm interested in doing a story about working dogs. So you go to like the place where they train them, but they were like, no, actually there's like this couple who has spent the entire life training dogs. So you might go to that couple and you think their story is more compelling than them. So it's a lot of like research that you need to do beforehand, and I hope that answers your question. And say another question here that we have is it says, do you usually ask them your story partner to dress in a specific way for the interview? If you can, just especially just for women, just try them for not to wear like big necklaces, because you're gonna be putting the audio like in their shirt. So like the necklaces, if they talk with the hands like I do, or they maybe move, the necklace might create like a friction sound that you won't be able to tell them. Also, if you might want to tell them to wear like a button down shirt, which you might want to, that helps you hide the laugh mic in the button down shirt easier than like kind of like the type of neck that I'm using. But yeah, but also if they have a teacher, like I'm thinking like my grandfather, he's owns airplanes, so like he has like teachers with his airplane off the side. I think that's an important, like a nice if they have something like that that represents them or like connects them to the story, then maybe. But normally I don't tell them to like wear this specific. You might also want to think of colors. If the place you're recording that is completely white, then you want to tell them to maybe no wear white or wear like something darker colors for this time. So maybe some things that you are considering. How much B-roll should you get? It depends. I hate to be the person, but also it depends of how much time you have, how long you have been working on this, but what's the story about. But every time you go to a place, professor once told me, shoot everything as it was their own little story. So like if I was in this room, I have computers here, I have those pictures, so I might want to get like a giant picture, a B-roll of the wall itself, and then little details of each picture. So yeah, that it really depends. I don't know how we do. Is Jeremiah talking about B-roll, Emily, in the next workshops next week? I'm not sure.
Jeremiah will be talking about video storytelling, which is like story structure and things like that. Lucas will be teaching a session about filming basics, which will probably be more related to B-roll. So like different types of framing techniques, wide, medium versus tight, things like that, if you're interested in B-roll.
Yeah. Also, Hannah just brought a good point. Try if you're working maybe for like a brand or something, or even for yourself, maybe don't have them like wear something that says in big letters or something. Just you might get like problem with Nike if your video gets like a lot of traction or something. So you might have some copyright issues and something like that. But yeah. Any more questions? Any more questions for me? Like I said, like let's practice this, guys. Yes, I've done anonymous interviews actually. And that you can actually, the videos online, and how would you go about doing that? So that I can, Hannah, maybe you can share the link of the Colombia video. But how that went about is the anonymous video that I did. It was a video that we did in Colombia, and it was about sexual worker, and we worked through a fixer, and we had a conversation of what she was, if she was comfortable maybe showing her hands or the back of her head or anything, but she wasn't comfortable showing anything. So what we ended up doing, it was just showing her silhouette. that we work with a professor who helped us set everything up. But I think with anonymous interviews is like how much, what are they comfortable? Maybe they're comfortable showing like their hands, maybe they're not. So you need to have that conversation and create the limits. And like we will show her like we would like we said, I remember we setting up like the interview, and like she sat down in the place, and then we took a picture with our phone and like, hey, this is what is showing in the camera, are you comfortable with that? And she said yes. So it's a lot about building the trust, and like you don't want to push it too much, because they might want to just, hey, you pushed me and I don't want to share my story with you anymore, and you don't have a story at the moment. So build the trust, talk to them before them, during, where you're setting, and like just maybe you can like at the end of the interview you can show them, hey, this is what like I this is how it looked, and like if they're and yeah, just make sure they're comfortable every step along the way. Also, yeah, check the entire project. That's the project that we did. Sorry about that. Did we did when we went to Colombia, but yeah. Also, yeah, my video partner, who she's here or she's listening to this, she just texted me saying like we also use like an opaque mask during the editing, during like in Premiere, just so like nobody could like go back, like download the video and like maybe change the brightness and realize who the person was. So you know, take as many steps just to keep their keep them anonymous.
As we're wrapping up, I also just want to ask everyone to fill out this feedback survey I just sent in the chat to let us know what we did well, how we could improve more workshops in the future, as we continue to finish this series and hopefully do more series in the future about photo and video storytelling. And you can also register for more sessions in this series. Next up is Hadley doing audio, and then we have Lucas talking about filming basics. Jeremiah is talking about intro to video editing, and he's also doing a second session about video storytelling. Then we'll wrap it up with Alicia and Haley talking about things they wish they knew when they were starting out.
Yeah, I just want to say that they're all like really amazing humans and amazing videographers, and like we're just doing this because we believe in this. We're not getting paid, but no, I'm not looking to get paid. But we're just doing this because the world is kind of ending, and we normally our summer project, summer workshop week, summer CPAW got canceled because the coronavirus. So you know, so even though like we don't want people missing out on the opportunity to learn something just because a virus is like changing the way our world works.